I want to welcome you to our kickoff for this year's listening tour. So I'm so happy that you all made it out. If you haven't ever attended one of these, the format is I will introduce our representatives who have traveled here from the governor's office to talk a little bit about what they do, and then we'll open up for questions so that we can listen and hear from all of you about any concern that you may have on any particular topic. So without further ado, we're going to hear a message from our governor. While our interns are working on getting a video up and running, I do see a lot of distinguished guests in the audience that I'd like to recognize. So if anyone who is an elected representative could stand and make yourself known at this time. I know I ran into, did you leave, Mr. Johnson? Oh.
Herbert Johnson, I'm the California assessor.
And I'm Carol Cole, Huntington City Council at Large.
Anyone else? Thank you very much for being here tonight. Okay, so apparently there are technical difficulties with that, so we're just going to move on. And the governor does send his greetings and wishes us well during these listening tours. The cities that we're going to be going to this year are Huntington, Dunbar, Piedmont, and we're going to round things out in August in the city of Branson. So first we're going to hear from the governor's office. We're going to hear from Constituent Services. The director is Jason Williams.
Thank you, everyone. Good evening. Again, my name is Jason Williams, and I'm Director of Constituent Services for Governor Jim Justice. And in the Governor's office, we do a number of things and perform a number of tasks, but in Constituent Services, it's a small unit of the Governor's office where our primary function is to help people. And we try to help people in any way that we can. People call the Governor's office, people email, they still send letters, people still write letters to the governor's office, and we try to help people in any way that we can. And if we can't help you directly, we will try to point you in the right direction. And you probably would be surprised at what we call the governor's office about, but they call our office about anything and everything you can possibly imagine. So I'm going to be here this evening, and after the event, if anybody has any concerns, if you have a personal problem with the state agency, we deal with every state agency, every section up under it, and we just try to help people in any way that we can. So come see me. I have a table over here, and I'll try to help you with whatever I can. Thank you.
Next up, we're going going to hear from Mike Hudson, and he is with the Huntington Police Department.
Hello. For you that do not know me, my name is Mike Hudson. I've been with the police department for about 26 years now, and my primary job right now is recruiting and training new officers. And we're in desperate need. We currently have 91. We are budgeted for 109 by city charter. We would actually, our max is 121, so we're severely low in our numbers. Our hiring age is from 18 to 40. If you know someone or can help us recruit, it doesn't have to come from our office. Our community needs to get involved in recruiting. So pass along hpdwb.com to anyone you think may be interested, and so we can build our numbers for testing, so that we can build our numbers on the department. Any questions for me? Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'd like to mention that Julie Powers from the Women's Commission was not able to be here today, but she does have materials set up over there on the side. So I would invite you to go there and review her materials and collect things that may be of interest to you when you get an opportunity this evening. Next up, we're going to have double duty coming over from the Department of Military Affairs and Public Safety. We're going to hear from Secretary Jeff Sandy. And in addition to that, we're going to hear from Superintendent Charles Williams, who is with the West Virginia Division of Corrections and Rehabilitation.
Now you got to figure out which one's who. But thank you for what you do. Huntington is my second home. Huntington gave me an education at Marshall, gave both my sons an education, and my daughter an education, and she is currently a special education teacher here in your county. So, what does military affairs and public safety, what do we do? We had, in January of 17, we had 13 agencies. And because of Governor Justice's initiative to make the state more efficient, as of this past legislative session, those 13 agencies are now consolidated to 7. Okay? But tonight we want to talk about one of those agencies, which is the new Division of Corrections and Rehabilitation. 3 agencies that last year were formed into one. Why I'm here is I need your help. I need your help. We have jobs available in our corrections across the state. When Governor Justice took office, the starting pay was a depressing $20,000 a year. Employees were on food stamps. Today, it's 26, but on July 1st, it's going to be $30,000 a year, $10,000 pay increase in 2 years. We need your help. We have jobs that will give people starting pay of 30 with overtime, at least make 40, but medical, retirement, and 7. So now I'd like to introduce Superintendent Williams to tell you about his background, why we brought him into the state, and why corrections is such a viable job in West Virginia today. Thank you, Superintendent.
Good evening. I'm Charles Williams. I'm the superintendent at South Central Regional Jail in Charleston, West Virginia. Just to give you a little bit of my background right quick, I started as a correctional officer in 1995 with the Federal Bureau of Prisons. And just to show you an idea of how entertaining, I would say, because you do get an opportunity. It's not just a dreary job, a job where you come in and it's just bad all day long. It's actually a very rewarding job. I made it to the ranks of warden in 20 years. I also, went to Rikers Island. I worked at Rikers Island for a while as a director out there. And I was down in Florida, and Mr. Sandy reached out to me and said, what about coming back to West Virginia? Because I retired as a warden at the Federal Correctional Institution in Gilmore, West Virginia. So I was in West Virginia, has a special place in my heart. So, I mean, I came back, and I just want to let you know that we do have a lot of opportunity. We have a lot of jobs up there, and to show the leadership and get back into the community and give back to the community. I mean, it's not just something to where when you come into corrections, it's a place where you see a lot of, and I'm going to coin the phrase, you know, barbaric and knuckle draggers. We have college degrees, we have very educated people, we have intelligent people, we have people there that were actually trying to make a positive impact out here in our community. And we want you to help us make that positive impact back out here in these communities. Thank you.
Now I'd like to invite from the Minority Health Institute, Ms. LaDonna Walker. Good afternoon. I brought my paper to explain a little about the Minority Health Institute. Really briefly, my name is LaDonna Walker, and I am the West Virginia Minority Health Coordinator. The Bureau established the Office of Minority Health in 2013 with the mission to eliminate disparities for vulnerable populations as defined by race, ethnicity, social, economic status, geography, age, disability status, and other populations identified to be at risk for health disparities. Due to the state, federal, and funded programs that couldn't fund this program, Dr. Anthony Ward was the founder of the Minority Health Institute. He met with the Bureau for Public Health in Charleston, West Virginia. If you're familiar with the Diamond Building, that's where the Office of Minority Health used to be. Dr. Ward met with them, and they actually relocated the Office of Minority Health from Charleston, West Virginia to Huntington, West Virginia. My office is on the campus of Marshall University in the College of Health Professions. It's under the Department of Public Health. It's also under the Minority Health Institute. So there's a lot of umbrellas for this particular agency. But our performance objective is to coordinate statewide efforts to reduce health inequity for vulnerable populations as defined by race, ethnicity, social economic status, geography, age, especially disability status, and among other populations identified to be at risk. So another activity that we're doing currently while we're here is to collaborate with the Governor's Office of Minority Affairs to facilitate adequate accessibility to necessary programs and health services for defined vulnerable minority populations within the state. As we know, African Americans and minorities, we are 3.6 of the population in West Virginia. However, we burden deadly diseases, cancer, obesity, type 2 diabetes. We currently partner with Huntington Health Department and Church of Diabetes Center to try to combat type 2 diabetes, which is very prevalent in our community. That program is actually at Church of Diabetes Center on Thursdays at 4 p.m. So the main goal is to cohesively come together to eliminate health disparities, which is going to take some time to do that. But if we all work together, it can be done. Funding also is another issue. So we need to continue to educate, prevent, and promote minority health. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Adonna. Next up, we're going to hear from our West Virginia Department of Agriculture, Mr. Bruce Murphy.
My name is Bruce Murphy, and I'm with the West Virginia Department of Agriculture, and I'm with Business Development Division of the Department of Agriculture. What we really try to do is recruit, retrain, and mentor everyone in the agriculture business. So we work with a variety of people, we work with a variety of programs, but we're really about fresh fruit and vegetables to people, everything's a product of West Virginia, trying to develop that. Our agriculture is dead last in West Virginia. So we have to try to change things. What we're trying to do is grow the next generation of farmers. And by doing that, we have a lot of urban farmers in West Virginia. So we're an urban society and a rural society mixed with that. So what we really try to do is train everyone to actually be able to afford the food and have access to the food. And that's really a problem in West Virginia. So we're trying to do that. So if you have any questions or have any follow-up questions for me, I'll be over here at my table. And please come over, and if you have any programs that you'd like to try to see in your community, develop community gardens, training gardens, canning facilities, packing facilities, anything that's agriculture related, please let me know, and I'll be glad to see if I can assist you. Thank you. Yes. Well, there's several different figures around with that, but basically, we consume about $8 billion worth of food per year. We actually produce about $1 billion, a little bit less than $1 billion. So we're basically shipping out a little under $7 billion worth of money every year just to feed us. So most of the meals you had today came from someplace else. And that's really what we need to do. We need to try to actually get ourselves to where we're actually feeding ourselves and promoting local foods, and not only economically, but health-wise also.
Next, we'd like to bring up Ms. Emma Wilson from the United States Small Business Administration.
My office is in Charleston, and we are the only, are you saying lower this? We are the only agency that's empowered by the federal government to help small businesses grow, start, expand, and recover. And we do that through a variety of resources. We do it through the Small Business Development Center. We have business coaches located throughout the state. Part of their funding is from the Small Business Administration, part of it from the state of West Virginia. There's a business coach here in Huntington, over in the City Hall in the lower level. Her name is Wilson. If anybody knows anybody that's starting a small business or is in business, she's a good person to talk to. And I'll be back there at my table, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. Yes, sir.
Any incentive or new business been started here?
Well, to be honest, no. But there's acts in what way? I guess.
Okay, I own a mortuary in Louisa, Kentucky. I'm in the process of buying a mortuary here. Is there any tax breaks or anything?
That's a question you need to ask the state tax department,
Okay.
because there's not any federal rates that I'm aware of.
Okay, I live in South Huntington. We have an industrial park over there. And we give a tax break from 5 to 7 years as an incentive to start a new business there. So I was wondering about us.
Okay, where is your mortuary? Is it going to be here in Huntington?
It won't be here in Huntington.
Talk to Dave Lyman at the Huntington Area Development Council, and he can probably answer that question.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
And to the gentleman who asked a question about the incentives for bringing businesses in, a lot of times you can work with the Department of Commerce, and so if you want to provide your information to Mr. Williams over there, we can put someone from the Department of Commerce in touch with you, and they can talk about possible incentives for your business. All right, next we're going to hear from the State Treasurer's Office, We have a representative from the West Virginia ABLE program. We have Ms. Christy Pritt.
Hello, everyone. I'm here from the State Treasurer's Office, and I am the director of the WBABLE program. And it is a brand new program that's based upon federal legislation that allows individuals with disabilities that have the onset of a disability prior to the age of 26 to open a savings account that grows tax-free. And if you happen to be on public assistance such as Medicaid or SSI, you can save more than $2,000 and not lose benefits. So you can save up to $15,000 a year, and you can, if you are working, you can save up to $27,000 a year and possibly get a federal tax credit for saving the money. And with this year, with the legislation that just passed, this program also qualifies for state tax deduction, very similar to the college savings program. The program states you can have one account per person, and it stays with you for life until you get as much money at $458,000 over the course of your lifetime in this account, and it can be spent for any qualified disability expense. So it's very practical, and it's something very similar to the college savings accounts. I have a table in the back if anyone is interested for any additional information, but it is a brand new program, and we're trying to get the word out.
Next, I'd like to hear from, I didn't see you over there, Linda. We're going to hear from Linda Bunn from the AARP.
Good evening. Isn't it nice that it's still light outside? It's 6:30 at night. It's almost summer.
Almost.
My name is Linda Bunn. I am the Associate State Director for AARP West Virginia. So when you think about AARP, what do you think about? Do you think about discounts, or do you think about a magazine, or do you think about maybe we're fighting for seniors at the state capitol and in Congress? But we're all those things, but mostly what we are is we're the voice of our members. And here in West Virginia, there are 300,000 members of AARP. That's 1 out of every 6 people. And what we try to do is like what we're doing here at this event, is listen to our members. Listen to what people 50 plus have to say. What is it that's important to them? And then we try to be the voice of those folks. When people tell us that they want to have financial security or fair treatment in the workplace, or be able to live independently in their home even if they suffer from health problems, if they tell us that they want to be free from frauds and scams, that's what we try to help with. As a matter of fact, if you go to our table, we have a great program called the Fraud Watch Network. It gives you great tips on how to fight against fraud, how to recognize it when it comes down the pike. Because the fact of the matter is you did all the right things. You went to work, you saved for your retirement, you paid your bills on time, and it's just wrong for somebody to waltz in and take that money away from you. So we want to give you all the protections that you can to fight against it and to help your families. So I welcome any questions that you have about AARP's work at the Capitol or in programs that we do, and we'll be at the table. Thank you very much.
Next, we have with us from the Bureau of Senior Services, we have Deputy Commissioner Jacqueline Proctor.
Very welcome in the room, I appreciate that. And this is not all a speech, so you don't have to worry about me being up here so long. Good evening. Thank you for coming out tonight. I am the Deputy Commissioner of the West Virginia Bureau of Senior Services. The Bureau is the state unit on aging for seniors all across the state. We work with senior centers in each of the 55 counties, and we facilitate the funding of federal money and state money for programs at the county level. So programs that include everything from legal aid. We support the legal aid for seniors of West Virginia. It's a great program. If you have issues with, as Linda mentioned, fraud that become more complicated, if you have people who want to have you sign contracts without a good understanding of what's going on, this is the group to call. In addition to the standard important documents like wills and that sort of thing, a lot of it can be housing issues, landlord issues. It just depends. So this is an 800 number on the flyer on my table, and it's completely free. It's just that a senior who has the issue needs to call the number directly. A friend or a family member can't call on their behalf because that person becomes a client of West Virginia Senior Legal Aid. We also have several other outstanding programs, I believe. One is when it comes to Medicare costs. We know that prescriptions rise every year. So if you are eligible for Medicare or know someone who is, and they seem to be struggling, we have open enrollment, as the country does, starting in October, although that was shortened last year in November, but nonetheless, we persevered. And the staff can help you review all the medications that you take and help you figure out the best way to afford them. So they'll look at all sorts of programs and put together a comprehensive list of where you can purchase your drugs, your prescription drugs, for the next year. But you have to come every year to make sure that you are on the right track. So that's the SHIP program, State Health Insurance Program. And one other I will mention that's very important and near and dear to us is the Aging and Disabilities Resource Network. That is also a toll-free number. I believe I have some brochures left at the table, but if not, we will either send them out or you can pick them up. I think all of my brochures were taken this afternoon earlier. Sorry, we'll beat you to it. But the Aging and Disability Resource Network is a statewide network divided into regions, and if you or a family member or anyone you know that you care about is looking for resources regarding medical equipment or other kinds of landlord disputes or other kinds of assistance when it comes to aging in the state, that's the number to call. So it's ADRN for short, and I have an 800 number that you can have when you come visit my table, which, by the way, you should, because there's a raffle guessing game over there, and I'll have a gift for you. So if you come and pick up your material, you can also participate in the game. I really just wanted to say, one other thing. On May 17th, Friday, May 17th, the Bureau is holding a day-long event. May is Older Americans Month. It's recognized federally every year, and what occurs is we follow a theme. So this year the theme is Connect, Create, and Contribute. We are sending out nomination forms for seniors in your community who reflect that theme. The date again is May 17th. Please follow us on social media, whether it's Facebook or Twitter, to find out about the nomination forms, where you can get further information, or just contact the office directly. I should have a press release out by Wednesday or Thursday of this week. So May 17th, if you have nothing better to do, come to the Charleston Town Center, 10 to 3. We will have a variety of vendors on one end, we'll have entertainment on the other end, and then our prize in the middle, in the center court, will be the awarding of the first ever Aging Well in West Virginia individual, and we're selecting five people from across the state. And you get the opportunity to vote on it. As soon as I get that information posted to Facebook, you go for it. So that's, generally speaking, a snapshot of what we do at the Bureau of Senior Services. And I'd be happy to take questions when you come over, or if you have any now, I'm ready. I told you everything. Thank you.
All right, so that wraps up the presentations questions from all of our speakers, all of our presenters. And as I mentioned earlier, you will have an opportunity to go around and meet with each of these representatives one-on-one if you choose to do that. But before we get to that portion of it, I'd like to open it up to questions. You may ask a question of any of us on any topic, and we have HOMA's executive assistant, Michelle, is back there with the microphone. So if you would please just raise your hand so that she could come over and give you the microphone so that everyone can hear your question. So, does anyone have any questions? We've got one in the back there, Michelle.
Question for the agricultural department. 4-H, is that under the agricultural department?
No, that's under extension.
But does that come under the broad umbrella?
It is a broad spectrum of agriculture. We do assist with the extension agents. Most of them come from WU, Marshall, or West Virginia State University.
Right. And my concern was 4-H had the perception is that it's basically rural young people. And given the problems and the need of socialization and skills in the urban areas, there needs to be an emphasis on 4-H in the cities and in the urban areas. I benefited because I grew up in a very, very rural area in Barker County, West Virginia. And 4-H was extremely important. And I feel that the urban youth are being denied that opportunity and that exposure and, for to learn lessons and skills that they will need throughout life.
I agree with that. I mean, you made a really good point there. You're absolutely right. And actually growing that next generation farmer, it starts with the youth. And it starts with people that's changing from one career to the next career, maybe someone that's retiring. So we have to meet the public. We have to get out to the public. And we have to teach them the modern day way to farm. Take Mother Nature out of it as much as you can. Irrigation, that sort of stuff that we try to do. We work in conjunction with West Virginia State University. We work with WVU, and we also work with Marshall. So we try to do a variety of things. Right now, we're coming up, the 1st of May is the Urban Ag Fair that West Virginia State puts on every year. So we'll meet with that, teach them some classes, and actually doing that for a weekend. But we have to make that. And really, the dynamics, demographics of West Virginia have changed quite a bit. And you're right. I mean, at one time, Dow County had a huge population. Huntington was 75, 80,000 people. It's, what's it pushing now? 46,000, 48,000. At one time, the county you grew up in, it was hardly able to get from one place to the next. Charleston, Morgantown now is just a couple hours. So we have a very small state. We need to reach everyone in that state, and we need to actually touch upon that. And you're right. There's a huge need in our urban areas. We have no big metropolitan areas. We're not Richmond or D.C. We really need to teach this in a scale people can actually farm and actually raise what they eat. We're making an effort for that.
One other thing. Now, the agricultural department, I remember, you have more employees than any other agency in the state government.
Well, I'm not sure how many the other agencies have. We do have a lot of people. We do, with that, we are quite sizable. We cover a lot of things. We do meat inspections. We do a lot of inspections around the state. The surplus food distribution system that goes out to all the
opportunities to employ African Americans in the agriculture department and all the other divisions that do not follow that?
Well, with that, of course, we do work with minority affairs, we work with the different universities and the schools around the state. We do try to get into the urban areas and actually can try to get as many classes as we can. We just finished up a series of classes for backyard orchards and grafting and pruning. We did that at the West Side EDC here in Charleston. We also did one down in Huntington. And you know, what we try to do is actually educate people on agriculture and what the benefits of agriculture is. You know, with a small backyard orchard, you can make $10,000 a year off fruit production. So, you know, you have to be trained in that and you have to know how to do that. We did a program a couple of years ago where we did 2 test gardens, some demonstration gardens, one in Kanawha County and one in Wood County out in Parkinsburg. So we tried to get as many people that try to use that as a training show. So once we put that on, run a 3-month trial on what we call general garden vegetables, we showed the public where you can make $15,000 a year, not only feed yourself, but make $15,000 a year off that. Now, with a lot of people, $15,000 doesn't say much like that. But if you're a single mom that's driving a school bus, if you're working at the county courthouse as a manager, and you start throwing $15,000 or $20,000 into that income in that family, you can change that family, you can change that little group, and that's what we're really trying to do.
This is a way of emphasizing at least from my perspective, the hiring of African Americans. We have Ms. Walker, who is a shining example and exemplary of a student, energetic, intelligent, black woman who is dealing with minority affairs and able to relate to that core group. I'm not saying, you know, that anyone here that's the head of these agencies is not able to relate, but the possibility of hiring someone to specifically deal with African Americans within these agencies or an African American advisory board would, to me, be a way to get through all of the problems and deal directly with a group of individuals who need not only employment but be in advisory capacity.
And I think that's correct. I think that's a good assumption of that. And we do need to do more to reach out to minorities in the state of West Virginia and make sure that they have their fair shot of being employed, make sure that they have access to being employed, and make sure that they know about the jobs when they do come up. And what we try to do with all our jobs is we try to post in the paper, and we also post them on our websites. So we hire a tremendous amount of people in West Virginia. Yes.
I want to thank the gentleman for that very salient point. I do want to emphasize that we do have the Department of Corrections and DMAX and the Huntington Police are all here in an attempt to diversify their workforce. So we do have people that are very committed to doing just what you spoke about. As far as in the ag community, that's definitely something that we need to be talking about. It's an issue that I fought for when I was in the legislature. We need to make the licensing accessible to everyone. We've got a new emerging industry here with our hemp, our medicinal, and eventually it'll probably recreational. And I would like for communities of color to be included in that, and so to be able to obtain these licenses as we go forward. And so I appreciate your point. And while I'm up here, I'd just like to mention to the presenters, as you are asked questions, we are live streaming this, and so this is really good. We've got the communications team from the governor's office is here live streaming this, so if you could make your way to either Michelle's microphone or to this microphone as you're answering questions, that would be helpful. Any more questions?
Yes. I was wondering if your department engages in financial support to the school system. I have a colleague who has, she's a principal of the school here in Huntington, and they have a lot of land surrounding their building, and they're engaging the children in planting gardens. So I was wondering if there would be some financial aid available to the schools who are engaging their students in gardening and raising food.
Yes, there is a variety of small grants and educational grants that's available for the school system. And what the department does is try to make sure that there is people that's on staff that goes out and actually helps with the schools, works with the staff at the school to educate them on agriculture. There's been a variety of things what we try to do. Show people how to do purchase the greenhouses and the high tunnels for extended growing seasons. So we have a program with that.
Good evening, everyone. Say, welcome home, Rick. Welcome home, Rick. My name is Rick Martin. I'm president of the Charleston branch of the ACP. I was born and raised here in Huntington, West Virginia. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears left on this gymnasium floor or the practice field behind us. But a couple of things. To Director Hudson, I want to say thank you for bringing this listening tour to my hometown. To Jason Williams, Constituent Services out of the Governor's Office, I'm pleased to see him. But Donna is my new best friend, and her and Dr. Ward. But a couple of things, one by way of suggestion, Jason, Director Upson, we need Workforce West Virginia on these listening tours. We need the Division of Personnel to be represented on these listening tours. Governor Justice announced the Road to Prosperity, billions of dollars in highway construction, inner city work, 40,000 jobs. I heard him mention that would be created over a number of years. Tremendous opportunities, we believe, for employment, particularly within communities where there is poverty and underrepresented minorities. I'm trying to be politically correct. African Americans, okay? So we need, I believe we need that presence. The other thing, I'm so glad to see Marshall here with their institute. How many of you know that there was an article in Newsweek September of 2018, and they listed 50 cities and locations, the top 50 cities and locations in the country with the lowest life expectancy. Lowest life expectancy. The average is 78.2 years. 5 of the 50 cities were in West Virginia. 5 of the 50. Among that 5, West Huntington. West Huntington. The west side of Charleston, Logan, Salem, and Hinton. Those were the 5. We got a health crisis. And it's not just the opioid crisis. Madonna mentioned it, obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, COPD. I mean, and the list goes on and on and on. Now, I'm from this community, and I see it. Top 5. So, to Director Upson, you know, there needs to be some consideration given to calling for a state of African American health. You know, in areas where there is a fairly large and significant population of African Americans, this being one, Charleston being another, portions of the southern part of the state being another. The governor recently announced at a press conference a pilot project up in the eastern panhandle on the opioid situation, Jefferson County. I know there's one going on down in the southern part of the state. We need something right here. We need something right here in Charleston. I mean, we're bedroom communities, and we share many of the same problems. So by way of suggestion, and I'm glad this is being live streamed, because I want this to be captured as for the record. You know, we need to convene, and Director Upson can go a long way as a part of the executive branch, go a long way in making this happen. I know she's new to her job, and we got to support her. We've got to support her, and we've got to assist her through these listening tours with recommendations. We're supposed to know what's going on in our communities. We have our finger on the pulse, and so we need to provide her feedback. And I'm assuming that's what these listening tours are about. Hearing from the community, what do you need? What are the issues? Health is big. Employment, unemployment is big. Education is huge. The Miss Ridgway. So anyway, I didn't mean to get on my soapbox, but that's very critical. Top 5 of 50. Low life expectancy. And I might add, that was 12 to 22 years below the national average. That means we got folks dying at 58. 58 and younger.
Thank you for those comments, and I was just saying to Dr. Ward earlier when he walked in that LaDonna Walker is just a tremendous addition to our listening tours, and I think inviting her on this year's tours was probably one of the best decisions I've made, and I hope that you all will have an opportunity to go over there and speak with her if you haven't already done so.
Hi, my name is Aaron, and I'm with a community organization here in Huntington. And correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the Office of Minority Affairs works closely with the West Virginia Advisory Committee to the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights. Does that sound familiar?
Yes, that's true. We have an annual Civil Rights Day each year where we honor people who have done good work throughout the state of West Virginia in the area of civil rights.
We advocate around public access to public spaces and civil rights within public spaces here in town. And there was a report issued by the West Virginia Advisory Committee to the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights called Coping with Police Misconduct in West Virginia. It was in response to a West Virginia House delegate member of the Select Committee on Minority Issues request to bring this data forward. And the document was to analyze the state's law enforcement's handling of civil rights violations. And I guess it was such a problem at the time that the NAACP, the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights, they were all pushing for this concerted effort to look at the data and figure out what solutions are available and are in place for civil rights violations. And since the time of the publishing of the report, which outlines rampant costs of litigation and insurance increases for the state's agencies, there's been no implementation of the procedures recommended by the report to establish improved government accountability and empower the citizens with the tools of transparency and review for their law enforcement agencies. Legal, media, and anecdotal data all confirm that Huntington specifically continues to have ongoing prevalent problems with civil rights violations, which trend to disproportionately affect minority communities. I'm wondering what new research is coming out of the Office of Minority Affairs regarding these issues, if there's new data or if there's been any new press releases that have been updated since early 2000s that have to do with civil rights infringements and civilian oversight of law enforcement conflicts.
Right, well, since I've been in place in the middle of December, I've actually met with and had a really productive meeting with a member of the Charleston Police Department. And I can't speak for every police department, and I don't know if Huntington PD wants to come up and address some of these issues, but there are individual departments that are taking steps to rectify this. I know in Eastern Panhandle, there doing the body cameras, and I know that in the Charleston PD, they're also having a very aggressive program on emotional intelligence to address a lot of the disparities in arrests and stops. And so I don't know, does anyone in law enforcement want to come up and address that?
Thank you so much for that question. We all need to be part of this, just like when I originally said for correction officers. When I was sheriff of Wood County, I had 127 individuals apply to be a deputy sheriff. Sheriff Stevens, the current sheriff, had 27, 100 people less. Huntington Police Department, the number of people wanting to get into law enforcement has reduced. The West Virginia State Police used to have over 500 individuals apply, and they had less than 100 this year. So what I'd like to address to you, and as a community at whole, we need to educate people, get young people involved that want, especially minorities. To give you an example, when I was the supervisory special agent here in West Virginia, I hired 3 minority candidates, 1 from West Virginia University and 2 from Marshall. They are now executives making over $150,000 a year. We need to recruit. We need to ask people. They may want to be an accountant. They may want to be something else. But we need in our communities to get minorities interested in careers in government service. John Kennedy was one of my favorite presidents. Get involved. So what I tell you, one of the solutions is we need to get more people involved in wanting to have a career in law enforcement. Okay?
I think that speaks a little bit to my point, but I'm particularly interested in civilian oversight of law enforcement. These would be people that aren't employed by the specific law enforcement agencies to do oversight.
And I will be more than happy to address that question. Huntington PD has city council and some of their council members are here. Anytime an issue happens, the council they review that matter. Sheriffs throughout the state, they have their county commissions. There is oversight on that, and trust me, you don't want to go in front of a county commission when there's an issue in place. I feel that we do have those situations in place, and also you have the prosecutors in the state. I can tell you for a fact that when I was sheriff of Wood County, if an officer conducted himself in a fashion which was unethical or criminal, that individual was removed from office and prosecuted. And I can assure you, in my position as cabinet secretary, we have the Department of Justice and Community Service. And every month we have meetings on this. And in fact, we have a database now that when an officer gets terminated from one agency in the state of West Virginia, they cannot go to another agency and get hired because of their certifications. Okay? So I submit to you that there is processes in place in West Virginia to resolve, I think, what your concerns are. Did I answer your question?
According to my research, there is no civilian oversight committee within Huntington. There's one in Bluefield. There was one in Charleston. And in Huntington, there's only an internal process. There is a civil service commission, but that is not in any way, shape, or form the type of mechanism I'm talking about.
Okay. But again, I submit to you that there is processes in place already within the jurisdiction of our city, county, and state law enforcement officers.
I would agree with the gentleman back here. According to NWCP, there are no civilian review boards at any level.
At the bottom. It's on the very bottom.
switch at the very bottom.
Again, Kenny Hill, Charleston, West Virginia, Tuesday morning group. I would agree with the gentleman. There are no current civilian review boards for any local or county or state agency. And the reason you would have a civilian review board is just as any incident that occurred, that civilian review board is not under the authority of the local police or the county or the sheriff or the state. And again, they're there to review the processes. Not saying there's not internal processes that regarding it. But my question was more to the Herbert Henderson Office of Minority Affairs. In the recent legislation that was passed and codified into law, your office has oversight of not only minority affairs, but interacting with other agencies. And not just interacting, but providing recommendations for improvement for the minority community. My question is directly to you as how much aware you are of these interagency activities, and what from the last report recommendations made by your predecessors, how many of those recommendations the government's actually followed up on and actually tried to improve those recommendations previously submitted from annual reports?
Okay, well, I'll have to look into the information concerning what my predecessors did and what the outcome was on that. But for what I've done since I've been here and going forward, I have a great relationship. As you can see, a lot of the agencies are here and represented, so they can get this information firsthand. So that's really largely what these listening tours are about. So that, and I use the word bridge a lot, you're going to get sick of hearing it, but that's what I see my office as. It's a bridge between state government and the community. So where issues need to be addressed, that's absolutely what my office is here for, and why we have so many great partners around the room with us on this tour to get that information from those of you in the community so that you can have your needs addressed, hopefully here tonight, or if not, we can put you on the right path toward having those issues addressed, and that's where Mr. Williams comes in. Anyone else with questions before we get to raffling off some prizes?
My name is Commissioner Lewison. I'm here and I represent the Positive People Association. My question is for HPD. When you say that you're doing recruiting, that you're trying to recruit, what about the people that are out here that are convicted felons, but they've changed their life? You know, maybe something has happened in their life. You know, they became a convicted felon, or you know, they grew up and you know things just didn't go right. Right now, they're thinking that they can't come to get a job as a police officer because they're convicted felons. You know, they've been in trouble before.
Well, it just depends on what the crime was. There are some crimes that, felony crimes that automatically will exclude you from being a police officer. But everything is looked at. My suggestion would be to apply and take the test and let the that follow through to see.
There are a lot of minorities that I know want to pursue their dreams. They want to be police officers, correctional officers, you know, but their past, you know, they feel like that their past is stopping them from, you know, being who they want to be.
Well, my message would be to let them know that that's not necessarily the case. Like I said, now some, it will depend on what the felony is. If it's a felony, if it's misdemeanor crimes, a lot of those will not automatically exclude.
What type of felonies could stop you from, becoming a police officer?
Violent felonies, murders, such as that, that's gonna automatically exclude you. Okay, but when you're looking at misdemeanors, DUI will most likely exclude you in a misdemeanor. Yeah, for driving purposes. I mean, we're driving city vehicles. You know, that's part of that. But again, you know, it's not an automatic. So, you know, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get as many people as we can to apply, and as many people as we can to pass the test. You know, we're part of our initiative right now is we're getting a number of people to apply, and then half or less are actually showing up to take the test. So we're doing everything we can to you know, to grow that number by testing in one day, testing the physical part and testing the written part in one day. We're adding in the near future, adding to our recruitment video exactly how to do the exercises. Our physical test is fairly easy. It's 18 push-ups in a minute. It's 28 setups in a minute, and it's 1.5 miles in 14 minutes and 36 seconds. Problem is, a lot of people that show up just aren't ready for that. They think they can do it because 18 push-ups. It doesn't sound very much, except if you haven't been doing push-ups for a while. Okay, so we're trying to grow that number to get them to the written test.
Is there a way to target African Americans and to grow a core of African Americans to become police officers and to put them in training with a community college to get them ready physically, mentally, and academically? If we want to make this change, then we have to focus on the group that we want included. And we must include them in a way that guarantees success. So if that is an objective, then money should come from a higher level to the local police departments at the Marshall University or Mount West or one of the other community colleges to make sure that that program can go through and identify the people and have somebody go out and recruit these individuals rather than put it in the newspaper or advertise in that way. There needs to be connection because there's so much anxiety, history, and fear of the police.
I agree with you. The money part of it is not, obviously it's not anything that I have any say so on. I can tell you that we're going to be out everywhere all the time at every event we can to try to get as many people interested in applying for the police department as possible. We're going to have part of the new recruitment is to invite people to come and do a physical test, a pre-test. See where you're at now. See where you're at in another month, and then see where get you ready for that test. So we're going to be inviting people to do that. Come train with an officer for a day, basically. There's tests that we have on our website at hpdwv.com. That's a written test. It mirrors the written test that we take, that we have to take, to try to practice on those. Sorry.
How can we begin a program like you said to where, we begin to teach, and show them the things that needs to be done without them afraid, because in our community, there is no relationship with the police. There's no relationship with the police. In our community, the police come, we think it's always bad. I don't think that all cops are bad cops, but there are some.
Well, I mean, I think that's true to life in any profession and anything.
So how can we begin?
But let me say that in my 26 years here at the police department, 20 years of that, I was riding a motorcycle. And I never felt like, especially kids, were afraid to come up and talk to me. I think a lot of it was because of the motorcycle. It wasn't a car. It wasn't, there wasn't a barrier between. It was something different. And in any school I went to, and in any neighborhood I went to. But I understand what you're saying. I know it exists. Obviously I don't have the overall answer to that. But I think it starts with all of us in the community.
One last question. What can you do to help us begin that process in our community?
Well, I'm going to try to do everything I can to get everybody to apply for the police department that wants to follow a career in law enforcement. I will assist in any way I can. I will talk to whoever I can talk to, and try to make it, and try to show that I don't. I believe in our area, it's not as bad as what we see in the national news. I'm willing to help. I'm willing to take advice. I'm willing to take answers. That's another reason why I'm here. Can you tell me something that you think I can do to help?
Yes.
Okay.
Begin to come out into our community, begin to understand, where we come from in our community, the things that we're going through, begin to build a relationship, especially with the next generation, because they're coming up being raised by themselves. So we need for you all to come out into our community in a positive way, with a good heart, actually coming out to help us, and not just for, because it's something you can write down in the books that you came out and done, so we can say, oh, they came out and did, they came out, or we came out and helped. No, come on out, build a relationship with us.
Okay. I hope you don't think that's why I'm here, just to write something down in the book. That's definitely not it.
Do you have anything that is set up in the high school? We have children that graduate and still don't know what they want to do. But do you have anything that is set up in the high schools? Do you have anything?
Well,
What can you do? Maybe we need to go amongst them instead of thinking they're going to. I never know what's in the paper. I hardly ever read it. I'm not going to look on the internet. But I'm talking about children that are 11th and 12th grade. Maybe if we would set something up and try to inspire them, because a lot of them don't even know what they want to do.
I agree with you. For a number of years, we've had school resources officers in the high schools, but they're there they have a different duty there. I'm fairly new to this position, but that's one of the first things that we talked about. As I mentioned when I first came up, our hiring age is from 18 to 40. We've never, to my knowledge anyway, we've never really focused on the high school level, but the military does. The military does. They go in and get them, and they try to recruit to the Navy and the Air Force and all that. So that's what that is our plan.
We have children.
I'm sorry.
We have children that are, and especially our young men. Every kid dreams to be a policeman or a doctor, and I think what happens a lot of times, they're not around those type of people, so they're not really inspired.
Right.
And what they hear about or see on TV, sometimes with children, they think everybody's like that. But if we would get involved and go where they are, instead of expecting them to come where we are, they're not going to show up and say, okay, I'm ready to do. Half of them don't even know what's required of them. And so I think sometimes we as people that know what's required, we need to take it to them. Don't wait until they're 18.
Agree.
and get out of high school. Then they're running around just trying to figure out something to do.
Agreed.
But if we would go to them when they're, like the other people do, 16 and 17, and try to inspire them. Unfortunately, things have changed. They're just not just going to show up and get on the internet and say, oh yeah, I want to be a policeman. But maybe if we get among them and maybe have some kind of recruiting in the high schools, these young men, these young women. So, and the professor said, when they can do the 18 push-ups, and they can do, you got people that run track, people that jump in hurdles.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? That are in high school.
Exactly.
But they're not inspired.
And they're
we
probably,
don't inspire them.
and
We need to inspire them.
a lot of them are not planning on going to college. You know, they're looking at something else. And if they're going to go in the military, we're going to try to attract them so that they can start their career, you know, toward retirement at 18.
We have a few more comments. Let me walk across the room.
If you're coming to me, I'm really loud. I don't need my. I would, to follow up on what you had said and what you said, I would start even earlier. You can't get to a student at 17 or 18 and, you know, and then, exactly, they've already had their interactions or their lack of interactions with the police. I think that starting in middle school or even in elementary school, when I was younger, when I was growing up, there was a police athletic league. So all kids who wanted to play sports, it was like Little League, but it was sponsored by the police. The police were there in the neighborhood. We knew the officers by name because we saw them every day. There were junior police programs, like junior firefighter programs. You could hang out, you could spend the day, you know, see what it was like. So I think that a lot of the things that we try to do, try to target high school students, but unfortunately, our boys and our girls, we're losing them younger than that, and we can't wait till then. We've lost a generation, maybe 2 generations already. We can't keep on doing that because we just can't. We have to catch these kids when they're young, and we have to show them what they're capable of, what's possible for them, what is good in the world, and what they can aspire to. So I would recommend starting younger.
And I, like I said, this is a new position for me, and we're just starting out, but I can tell you that we've already been to Spring Hill Elementary, talking to some students there, a couple of officers with K-9s, you know, letting them see that you know, we're people, you know, we're here to help, you know, and hopefully that will help. And also, we haven't had the police athletic league since I've been. I know that's a long. But well, they did have one. They had one mostly associated with boxing years ago, but it was even before my time. We did have an Explorer program, and we are in discussion right now trying to get that back. So to try to help with something like that.
Just one quick question. You were wondering how people in this area could, or how they would be able to apply to for police to become a police officer. But my thing is, you said that some of the let me slow down. That there would be like some felonies they would not be able to apply for with this area, the Fairfield West area. You're never going to find anybody able to apply here because this is a drug-infested area. And if having a drug felony prevents you from becoming a police officer, it's been, and I'm not saying, like she said, all police officers are not bad police officers, but I have witnessed myself a police officer pulling dope out of his pocket and placing it on top of a car, saying that it was an individual that they stopped. So how do we stop that? And how do they,
I just wanted to jump in for one quick second because we have, on our legislative side, we addressed some of this. So last year, we passed a partial expungement bill. So if you have a nonviolent felony and there is 10 years between the felony and not having another offense, you can apply with your county prosecutor to have that felony not completely removed, but reduced to a misdemeanor, which would then open up the door of employment opportunities for people. And so as long as it's a nonviolent felony, it sounds small because you do have to wait 10 years between the offense and getting that item reduced, but we are making steps in that direction. And I know this year, I haven't had a chance to read the final iteration of the expungement bill that ran through this time, but there is another one that's going to be coming out as well.
Does that have to do with, because I know a lot of times, and I've worked with different people like in Ohio, wherever, and some of them could not get their felonies expunged because the amount of drugs they had. So is that going to be addressed in that?
No, my understanding of the legislation that we passed last year, so in 2018, you can just apply. Now, the prosecutor has discretion to look at your record, but I just know that the prosecutor in my county is very open to this type of legislation and would probably render a very favorable outcome in most instances, but no, there is no restriction. It's just a matter of it being a non-violent felony. And I would encourage anyone you know to talk to their county prosecutor. There's a form that they can give you at the prosecutor's office that you can fill out to start the ball rolling.
Thank you. We have a comment in the back.
My question is, how sincere is Huntington Police Department recruiting? How valuable is that to you? And the reason I'm asking that is that we have a university here that if they need a particular person for a position, they go after them. I want to piggyback on what they were saying as far as online, newspaper, how actively have the Huntington Police Department left Huntington and physically sat in the room with a potential police officer, and how serious are you on that? That's part one. And part two is, I know I got here late about body cams. Can somebody explain to me why all of these small police communities can have body cams and Huntington seems to be against it?
Okay, I will, to address the recruiting, very serious in recruiting. As I said before, we have 91 officers. We hired, we have 3 in the academy right now. We have 9 people that can retire right now. So that means our numbers are going backwards. So, you know, we're very serious in hiring, very serious in recruiting. It's you know, we had 272 people apply for the last test and 53 showed up. So I don't know, you know, we have to get those people to come actually test on test day.
No, you missed the point. I said, how many have you actively sought out as far as HBCUs? Went to those campuses and actively recruited black police officers. You cannot do that unless you show someone that you're interested in them. And this is what we're saying. And the reason I say that,
okay,
I'm a longtime resident of Huntington, and I've never seen them yet to actively go and recruit for Huntington Police Department. A lot of our police officers now do not even live in Huntington. And they cannot identify, in my opinion, with what's going on in Huntington other than what they read on the internet or what they heard. And if someone is going to police me, I want them to at least know me. And one of the things you can say, he was on a motorcycle. We have police officers riding up and down our streets. Not one of them, not one, except one. That was Nethercutt. He's the only police officer that I know that have stopped and physically talked to someone other than just riding by. And so this is one of the things about community policing that is missing. We've got crime going on around us. With all this being built around us now, they're getting the attention, but the community itself is still being neglected. So that's my concern is that one day Huntington will go out and recruit somebody that look like me so that they can identify with me. I saw one black officer, he came up and it was doing an investigation and it was told to him then. He said, if it was somebody else, we would not tell you what we saw. So that's how valuable it is to have somebody to look like me to get information from me. But Again, this is one of the things that I would like to have an answer to, along with the body cams.
Okay. Again, we recruit at Marshall University. We were recruiting at West Virginia State. We were at Morehead State last week, and that's on their job fairs. As far as recruiting at Marshall University on a more permanent basis, we'll go anywhere. I will go anywhere and recruit. Marshall University is having the same issue. They're trying to hire 10 officers right now. They can't do it. They're having just as much difficulty as we are hiring. So, I have some cards up here. Like I said, my name is Mike Hudson, and I will talk to anybody, at any time. If you have suggestions, or if you have a group of people you'd like me to come talk to or get some information with, or have them come see us, have them come down to the police department, we can do that. That question is going to have to go to the office of the chief of police.
So you mean if you have morning meetings, so that has never been discussed with the chief of police or the mayor?
Ma'am, I do not have any information on that.
Okay, thank you. We have one more comment. Hi. I just had a question, a statement for the police department. I come from a different state, which I come from Virginia. I'm an intern at the Herbert Henderson Office of Minority Affairs, and I come from Virginia. In my county, we had a program called the Stafford Cadet Program.
Okay.
That program was offered kids through 9th through 12th grade to participate in the cadet program, and we'd meet once a month. With that, we would be learning things that you guys do on a daily. Some of the things that we did, we had like a K-9 show, like they showed us like what their jobs was. We got insights on what you guys do. If you were 18, you could do ride-alongs with police officers. We also did a thing called State Police Academy, so we got to learn what the state police do as well. This was offered through all those kids. As for people mentioning the elementary schools, they would have week-long programs for elementary schools, which the cadets who were in high school would have them do like exercises. They would have push-ups, contests, like all those kind of contests, and kids would love it. We did a field trip to the FBI Academy for them, so they got more of an insight on what your jobs would be, and it inspired them. Through that, I know that they helped some of them become police officers, and they did have ranks. I became a corporal. We did also have a captain who will be becoming a police officer, but it would be there to help them, become in the law department if they wanted. It's just a suggestion.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And I think Secretary Sandy wanted to just add one more comment.
The lady who mentioned that we've lost a generation, I agree with you. I agree with you. And I'm going to lay some cards on the table. Every family, in my opinion, in West Virginia has been affected by the drug crisis. Okay? How many people in here, raise of hands, how many people know someone that has had to go to drug treatment? Okay. My niece has been a resident of one of our regional jails in the state. So it's affected everybody. And I wanted to just mention to you, last summer at Marshall University, the governor announced an initiative. And the initiative is we want to train every 5th grader through 12th grader to give them a block of drug prevention. To date, we have as of last week, we did Polka High School. We have met and talked to over 40,000 West Virginia kids. We have met with the superintendent of schools here, and we're close, we feel. We met with him and the mayor, and we want to bring that class here. But let me offer this to you. If you have any groups of young people at church or any type of a group, we will come. We will come. It's partnered in, over at the corrections table, there's these cards from the government, and the class is 2.5 hours long, and it's in coordination with the Drug Enforcement Administration, and it is, you'll have young people crying that because they have known someone who has been affected by the drug crisis. One little 5th grader up in Wood County actually said, my mommy and daddy used drugs. And this program that the governor started is hitting home. And I ask all of you, the heart is there today in West Virginia. The heart is there. We want to help, and as you said, I agree with you 100%. We've skipped a generation. What I told the governor was that we need a 10-year program on this, and that's why we want to talk to every West Virginia youth every year. So, having that, please get one of these cards. And if you don't want it, please go to the website and listen, watch the video. It's called Catching the Dragon, and it is excellent. Excellent. And excellent. Just listen. I can't hear you, sir. I'm sorry. Okay.
6 years ago, I had 5 kids in college. One went to Marshall, UK, Louisville, Berea, popular classes. I come here today, ask a question, and I'm sitting here listening to all your problems. What's the incentives for minorities in this state? Tell me. That's what you should be selling. What's the incentive? Well, you know what I told my kids? And one of them was offered a district, what was it? Private investigator, the prosecutor's office. I told him pass it up. Because he can't advance here. He can't advance here. Until you give some kind of incentive, I don't care what your race is, to keep our young people here, they're not going to stay here. I got 1 out of 5 in this area. The rest of them is in major cities. Doing well. Doctorings, masters. They can't do it here. Now you tell me. You've got to have some kind of incentives.
Let me address that. A little bit at a time. A little bit at a time. And let me tell you this. When the Governor Justice selected me, we had an initiative to recruit and train and promote minorities. Okay? Minorities. The gentleman over there, please raise your hand. He is now an officer with corrections making a very good salary. Our last graduating class over at Linville, out of 40 cadets that graduated, 10 were minorities. Unheard of. But please let me finish. Please let me finish. What we're saying is we want to present opportunities in all facets of state government. There are positions available that are there, and we need young people to fill those. The curve. In corrections, for example, we have young people and we have people with 30 years on the job. We have no one in the middle. The chances for promotion are tremendous in state government today. So I submit to you that there are opportunities, and as one of the ladies said, how we need to probably do a better job to get out there and let people know about these positions. We've used social media, we've used outreach, but we're probably, if you have any ideas how we can reach people and let them know that there are positions that they can grow and be an executive at someday, please help us.
I would just suggest that if you want to disseminate that information, maybe a starting place would be to send it to the state NAACP and all the NAACP presidents.
Guess what? After he spoke today, I said, we want to get him and we want to talk to him. You're exactly right.
Give me one moment because it's running on a little long, and I just want to make sure that I recognize the daughter of the namesake for my office, Herbert Henderson, Ms. Cheryl Henderson, please. So we will take a couple more questions, and then we'll move into, Michelle's going to come up and give away some prizes, so please go ahead.
Reverend Matthew Watts, Senior Pastor, Teacher, Grace Bible Church of Charleston. I just want to make a comment. I really appreciate everything you had to say, Mr. Saturday, as well as all other presenters. But there's a serious crisis that we have that we got to really focus attention to that's really happening to our young people. First of all, there's data that's been compiled by the state school superintendent's office. African American children in West Virginia are being suspended and expelled from school at twice the rate of non-African American children. And we brought it to the state school superintendent's attention over 2 years ago and been unable to get him to work with us to try to address that. The reason that's so important is because truancy is the #1 reason that children come into the juvenile justice system. So when children are expelled or suspended from school, those are unexcused absences. Therefore, African American children are boarded to the juvenile justice system at a much higher rate. Mr. Sanders is aware of that because the United States Justice Department has cited and sanctioned the state of West Virginia what's called DMC, disproportionate minority contract. So West Virginia has an overrepresentation of black children in the juvenile justice system at every level: arrest, detention, incarceration, and transfer to adult status. And a lot of it begins with our children being disproportionately suspended from school, ending up in the juvenile court for truancy, ending up in juvenile detention or incarceration for not going to school. And all Mr. Sandy can do is take them, right? He's like a hotel. When they send someone, he has no choice but to take them. So it's suspension, expulsion, disproportionate contract. And what that's doing, it's resulting in an over-incarceration. That's why African Americans are over-incarcerated in the adult prison system at 3 to 4% of their representation in the society, 3.6% in terms of the population, more like 14% or higher in corrections, and maybe a little bit higher than in the regional jail system. Now, one of the things we got to advocate for, and I'm going to take my seat, and this is a major thing that's happened over the years, and people haven't paid attention to it. There are so few opportunities for our children. When I was a child growing up, some 50 years ago, I had a job every summer, because my mom was poor, 7 of us, and we were on welfare. So it was called the Job Training Partnership Act, or the other one to pick whatever it was. And so I worked in creeks, I painted signs on the side of the road from the time I was 14 to I graduated from high school. The federal government has cut those programs significantly. My friend Jay Cunn is here. He knows I'm not exaggerating. But they have a much less money than what they used to have. The state of West Virginia allocates $0 for poor children to have summer jobs. So there are almost no children in Huntington or in Capital County that's in school, 14 to 18, that will be working during the summer. Because the state legislature is not allocating money toward that end. And the federal government said, we're not going to keep giving you the money.
So with the budget surpluses, and we tried to make the pitch, and we tried to get the legislature to allocate $10 million out of the surplus, which could have resulted in 2,000 young people having summer jobs. These are the type of things we got to be advocating for. We got to go to the city council people, to the business people, asking them if they would put up money so that kids can be put to work. If our kids don't go to work, they're going to get in trouble, a lot of them. And they're going to have problems. So we love to come out and have this conversation. We have got to figure out how to keep our kids in school. So if our kids are not in school, right, we pay about $12,000 a year in the state of West Virginia, between $11,000 and $12,000 to educate a child. So the school will get the money whether it's suspended or expelled, they will still get the money. And so it's one of the most important problems that we have that's going unaddressed and no one's paying attention to it. Our kids are out of school too much, they're missing too much instruction, end up in the juvenile justice system, and they're falling so far behind, they can't pass these tests. It's a frustrating thing to send them to go and take this test about, to go to the police department when these young boys are reading on the 4th and 5th grade level. They can't pass these tests, and that's why we got to keep them in school. I close with this because what we call the GED test is normalized. And what that means, it means that 40% of the kids who graduate from high school couldn't pass the test if they were to pass the test to get out of high school. So our kids drop out of school, they lost because they do not have the skills to function. And that's why we got to fight to keep them in school and keep them out of the juvenile justice system. And we got to fight and try to get people to realize we got to invest in these young people. If we don't invest in them, they're not going to have the skills. And you got the problem in Huntington, Fairfield West, and we got the problem in the west side of Charleston. Our kids can't read, they can't compute, they can't function, they're frustrated, they know they can't read. So you give them something to read and they get angry about it because they know they can't process the information. But we can't give up on them because they're young. And we got to go back now and invest more in them. Because we need them. Because I'm getting old and I won't even one of those checks you get from not going to work. You get one of those, somebody got to be working.
My concern is, I think it's awesome that you're recruiting for the police department. I think it's awesome that you're recruiting for the Department of Corrections. But there is no other entities here recruiting for our kids. They could be doing other things too. And I think this is the point that he was trying to make, that he had 6 children or 5 children, and all of them are gone except one because there's nothing here to keep them here. So there's more that you can recruit for than just the police department and the Department of Corrections. To be quite honest with you, I'm trying to keep my boys away from the prisons and jails at any cost, whether it's on the inside or the outside.
Can I end the discussion tonight? Everybody knows who I am. I'm Sandra Clemens, former city council person. And 2 years ago, the city of Huntington received money from the America's Best Communities, $200,000 to start a community development corporation. And so Sean Hornbuckle and I agreed and said we would help start that corporation. That corporation won't function without the community. We need the community to have a different mindset. This lady said, we have a community that's infested with drugs. We will never get a business to come here. We will never get a grocery store to come here if we continue that language. We have to say, these are the good things that happen in our community. We have good people here. We have students who are coming who are going to be good members of this community if we work together. It is on us to do it. I thank Ms. Upton for coming and bringing everybody here. But I want to see some career days. I want to see some other agencies, some other businesses coming saying, you can do this, you can do that. That's what we need in our community. And when we come to you to talk about developing the Fairfield Development Corporation, we need you. We can't do it alone. But I want you to come with a positive attitude. We can do it, we can make a difference, and we're going to.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
right, so now we have raffles. Everybody pull your ticket out and get ready. All right, this is Jamonte. He's another intern, an awesome young man from Job Corps that works in our office. All right, Jamonte, pull the first ticket.
Last score is 3584.
3584, and what we have is a CD from the West Virginia's very own Eugene Landau Murphy. How many of you all enjoyed him or caught one of his concerts locally? Yes, he has a voice of butter, I like to say. All right, what is his last score again?
3584.
3584, very good. What's your name, sir? Ryan Halsey. Thank you for coming tonight. All right, and we have one more CD left. Are we ready? All right, Jamonte, pull that ticket.
3570.
357. Woo! We have a winner. Come on down. All right, one more thing I would like to announce is over here in the very corner, we have refreshments for you. Grab some on your way out. In the tub on the floor, there are also beverages. So ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our tour. Thank you, Huntington, for being our kickoff city. I hope that you will continue this conversation throughout the evening and go to the different tables and speak